Assets, assets, assets. Buy them, hold them, get rich from them. This is the philosophy of Rich Dad Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki, distilled to a few words. And yet he has a lot of detractors who like to call him a con man who doesn't understand what an asset is.
A lot of the hate comes from the probably correct perception that most of his fortune was made from the books that describe his fortune rather than the assets which he writes about.
Take a step back from a man and look at the words in his books, however, and you are left with a treasure trove of sound advice. An investor's Bible, which both of us have used to plot the course of our lives over the last 5 years, culminating in massive increases to both of our investment portfolios and the creation of the Money Unshackled business.
It's no small exaggeration to say that we owe our own successes in part to the teachings of the likely fictional rich dad in the books, whose words on the Cashflow Quadrant and the power of assets we both took to heart.
Robert Kiyosaki, legend, con artist, or both? Let's check it out.
Welcome to MoneyUnshackled.com, the investment and finance channel and website that sets you and your finances free. I'm Andy, this is Ben, and if you like what we say, hit the like button and click subscribe.
People interested in investing in peer-to-peer lending now have a new way to ease into it with our latest offer. Open a new account with as little as £10 in the Rate Setter platform, and you will get a £20 cash bonus when you use the link on the offers page at MoneyUnshackled.com. You'll find the web address in the description below. Now, let's get into the video. Asset theory. We like. The core concept of a Rich Dad series is that assets are things that create a positive passive cash flow without any further input from you, and that everyone should own a whole bunch of them. We absolutely love this simplified view of investing, and it's inspired both of us to new investing heights. Appraising an investment for its cash flow potential is how we pick investments to this day.
We took this concept and ran with it by buying assets such as rental property, dividend paying stocks, ETFs and peer-to-peer lending loans. And now we can each draw good cash incomes from our assets every month, winning advice from Robert there.
Fiction sold as truth. We find it a little dishonest. The rich dad story of Robert as a young boy and having two father figures who taught him everything he knows about money has widely been ridiculed as fiction, despite the author insisting it happened word for word as he said it did. And yet, as a parable, it holds its own truths. The wise words offered by the likely fictional rich dad in the story are sound investment advice that we and many other investors live by.
And much of it was out of step with the thinking at the time that investing should be for the long-term growth rather than income creation. We still find that the majority of the investment media encourage a long-term growth strategy aiming at freedom at old age, rather than the investing for passive income generation method that we promote. In this regard, the story of Rich Dad talks truth to power by going against the grain of common investment strategy. But Robert should really stop pretending that the story is literally true.
Financial freedom. Our reason for being. MoneyUnshackled.com is an investing site unlike most others because we encourage financial freedom now, while we're young, rather than freedom in old age, like many leading gurus including Tony Robbins and countless others around the investing world promote. The story of Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of Robert Kiyosaki building up cash-flowing property assets and businesses that he could then live off instead of employment.
By all means, build a sweet global portfolio of shares to grow your wealth. We do this too. But alongside that, we have cash-flowing assets like peer-to-peer lending and rental property or REITs to pump out regular cash that you can start living off. Then we say to use your freed up time to build up businesses and create new passive income streams. This is also what Robert Kiyosaki says.
Courses, an absolute con. When I started out buying investment properties, it was to the Rich Dad University that I turned to get an introduction to the world of rental property. I read the books and concluded that Robert Kiyosaki and his team must know their stuff. I paid money to attend an online seminar which cost me £120 and came out the other end more confused than when I went in.
And this course was just a precursor for further courses, all of which would have cost a fortune. Many other players in the financial education market, like Samuel Leeds, charge loyal fans thousands for courses that are nowhere near worth it. So Kiyosaki is not alone in this regard. But it still strikes us as either a con or certainly not value for money.
We may one day create some paid for courses, but these would be affordable complete packages with the aim to educate rather than to upsell further courses. The reason we give our tips away on YouTube for free is because we passionately want to change the country and get people invested in their financial futures, because no one else will do it for them.
Cashflow Quadrant as a concept, life-changing. The Cashflow Quadrant, Kiyosaki's second book, opened our eyes to the truth, Matrix style. At school, we were told there is one place to find income, a job. The Cashflow Quadrant shows that employment is just one of 4 ways to make money, and the 4 ways are equally weighted, as there is no reason why employment should be any more important or worthy than the other 3.
The E is employment, where most people end up. The S is self-employed or small business owners, working full-time in a business you own, including self-employed contractors. The B is big business owners, people who own companies that make money without the owner's continued input, because other people run it for them. And finally, the I is investors, who buy assets that pay them a passive income. The quadrant is further split down the middle, with those who work a 9 to 5 on the left, and those who don't have to work anymore on the right.
This concept is eye-opening in so many ways that we can't stress enough how much we love this book. It's there on the Money Unshackled website in the top books section, along with a load of others that we consider essential reading. Check it out, book lovers.
The downplaying of small business owners, a bit misguided. Kiyosaki is very critical of small business owners who work in their businesses day to day. In his words, all that they own is a job. We see his point, but there is a world of difference between being told what to do every day by a line manager and owning your own little empire. Plus, big businesses do not appear overnight. They start as small businesses whose owners initially had to be very hands-on.
We find the Cashflow Quadrant makes more sense as a line than a grid. The most common route to fast financial freedom follows a route from employment to save money to start a small business, to develop through time and effort into a big business that ends in a passive income stream being established.
The investor quadrant is really more of an overlay that sits behind or around the other 3. Investing complements and enhances your wealth and income streams throughout your working life.
Your house is not an asset. Yes, we totally agree with this one. Your house in itself doesn't produce an income. In fact, it costs you an absolute fortune in mortgage payments, bills, council tax, and regular maintenance. When your boiler blows up, is your house an asset, or did it just cost you several grand?
Kiyosaki has taken more stick over his "your house is not an asset" point of view over the years than any other. In fact, it is what got him famous in the first place. His declaration that people's precious homes were not assets upset millions of people and intrigued many more.
People don't want to be told that the thing they spent years overpaying a mortgage on and adding new kitchens and new bathrooms to is not an asset, but is really a liability costing them a fortune.
Kiyosaki's main point is that you can't spend a house because you're living in it. Its value may go up over the years, but you can't retire on the value of your home. Not unless you sell up and move to a poorer city or country where you can buy a far cheaper house and live on the difference for a bit.
But even that is unlikely to be sustainable for retirement. The hard truth that your home is not an asset is something that people need to understand and start investing in real assets instead.
Your house is not an asset. Oh yes it is. Wait. Although we totally agree, we also disagree completely. I am far better off financially and further on my financial freedom journey for having bought a house than not. I had a lodger for nearly 2 years, paying me nearly £500 a month, and I have remortgaged my house twice, withdrawing equity to the sum of £50,000 to help finance 2 of my rental properties.
We're not saying you should do this because of course it does carry some risk. A lodger could be dodgy. An equity release could be invested in an asset that loses you money. But it goes to show that your home can be a financial use and not always a total liability.
Question of the day. What have we missed? Is Robert Kiyosaki wrong about anything else? Or is he just, at the end of it all, a total legend? Let us know in the comments below.
Thanks for watching! On this channel we talk a lot about personal finance, investing in all things money. And if you want to see more great content, please click the subscribe button below.
This is MoneyUnshackled.com. See you next time.